Aaron. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I help you create teams worth leading, as opposed to whatever it is you're doing right now, leading a mediocre team. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, advisor and consultant coach to tech execs worldwide. And today, our subject is other people's games. Before getting to that, this is the last call. Tomorrow, from the time this episode is coming out, I'll be holding another free live stream in my coaching upgrade series where you can learn about specifically coaching your managers, elevating their capabilities and turning them into force multipliers in your organization. It's free, and if you sign up, you'll also get my ebook, The Impact Coaching Framework. So check it out. The link is in the show notes. And now let's move on to our weekly subject, other people's games. I don't know exactly how it came about, but my kids really like singing contests. As in, for a few years, they've been following the Eurovision, and for a couple or so now, they've also started following Sanremo, which is the Italian version, which selects who goes to the Eurovision representing Italy, usually. A week or so ago, Sanremo concluded, and someone won. His name is Ollie. However, he just announced that he is not interested in representing Italy in Sanremo, and therefore he is stepping aside, and the next one in line, which seems a lot more Eurovision matching if you ask me, has agreed to go. Why am I telling you this? Well, Ollie, who won and decided not to go, said that he's listening to himself as opposed to doing what he felt like he ought to do because he won. He actually didn't even think he'd ever win, so he didn't even think about, oh, if I win, that means I need to go to Eurovision. I loved that. Putting aside whether I think he would have made a better choice for Eurovision or not, I love the fact that this artist was able to say, I know that this is a great honor. I know that there are so many people who would kill to have that opportunity, but this is not what I want, and I have to listen to myself. He wasn't playing the game that others were playing. He realized what was important for him, and he decided to stick with that, even if it's not easy, even if some people would think he's making the wrong choice. He listened to what was right for him and did that. He didn't do things measuring himself by other people's metrics. And this connects us to our subject today. Where are you playing other people's games as opposed to following your own direction, your own passion, thinking about what you really want to do, as opposed to playing along, mindlessly following a path that wasn't decided by you? For example, I just talked to someone who was bemoaning the fact that his organization was not growing enough, and he, looking at his career progress, would have liked to see more people reporting to him. And I know that there is a vanity metric here involved. However, this is precisely playing other people's games. Why do you need to see the headcount grow in order to tell whether you're progressing in your career or not? Does merely having, another hire to this quarter would mean you're becoming a more important leader in the company? Would that materially change anything? Is there any reason for you to associate your worth and your abilities as a leader with whether or not the company can allow for you to grow a bit this quarter or retain the same size? After all, I think the best teams around are those who know how to do more with less, not those who constantly have to keep growing just to get by. So maybe you can look at your own personal growth not by measuring headcount, by saying, oh my God, look at the sheer volume of impact we're delivering week after week with this tiny team. I mean, wow. I genuinely believe that this is one of those examples where we're so easily sucked into comparing these things as if they really mattered, as if they were the most important thing. to measure your progress. You're looking at others, maybe you're checking the company's LinkedIn profile and you're seeing that that company has more people than that company, even though they're younger, they're newer, whatever. Who cares? I've seen so many companies that had such a rapidly growing headcount, yet delivering almost nothing when it came to the business bottom line. And I've seen a lot doing the exact opposite and anything in between. You have to realize that what you want to do is to grow and deliver impact. Therefore, how many people you've got in the org chart doesn't necessarily matter. It matters if you're certain that you will not be able to do your role properly with the team you've currently got. Okay, if that's the case, your will to see the headcount change is actually traceable to the impact you want to drive. You're not playing other people's games. You know what you want to achieve and you realize the means required. When you shift your focus from that goal to simply tracing that metric and wanting to see that rise for the sake of seeing it go up means that you're playing someone else's game. Of course, this goes hand in hand with people who might be following career paths that they're not really excited about just because they feel like this is what they are to be doing. I regularly see people thrust into management positions, reluctantly not enjoying it, for years lamenting how much they miss being more of an IC in their roles, but they follow the management path because they felt like that's what the company needed, that's what the CEO was expecting. They felt like, oh, everyone around me, everyone who was an IC with me in the previous company, whatever, people of my same age, give or take, are all becoming managers. I have to start doing the same. Newsflash, no, this is again playing someone else's game. You need to think what you want to do, what would fulfill you, what would allow you to lead a life where you feel you have impact, you have meaning. You don't wake up at the beginning of the week dreading starting yet another, but looking forward to it. Yeah, work is work. It's not supposed to be perfect, but it's not supposed to be a nightmare. We're just so privileged to be working in tech. Why set yourself up in such a position where you hate it? It makes absolutely no sense. Another example would be when we're complexifying technology all around just because we look at what others are doing. We feel like, yeah, everyone's using Kafka, everyone's got Kubernetes, everyone's doing this and that. And all of a sudden, you've got a team with solely 5 engineers, yet 5 dozen microservices, a Kubernetes and Kafka setup that requires learning how to do those setups for 10 years, which is longer than Kubernetes exists probably, and only then will you be able to deploy a line of code to production. I routinely see companies going so ahead of themselves and getting things so hard to maintain because they feel like, oh, that's what's all the cool people are doing right now. We have all of those things. Yeah, we want to be able to say that if you join us, you'll have this tech stack and you'll be doing this stuff. I don't care about that. I care about why were we even hired? Oh, that's to provide that business result. Okay, does Kubernetes necessarily lead to that? Does Kafka allow you to do that? Can you find something simpler to do? That sort of stuff. If you allow your team to obsess over tech just because it looks like the shiny thing that they ought to do, because they measure themselves on the coolness factor as opposed to the real results they're achieving, they're going to play other people's games. And one last example for this is burning out co-founders, leaders who feel like, well, I have to be grinding, right? It's not okay to just work. I have to always be overwhelmed. My calendar always has to be filled to the brim with a lot of useless meetings because that's what people do, right? No. This is again thinking that we all have to play this busy work game in order to show our worth. This is focused on our inputs, on how much stuff we're cramming into our calendar, as opposed to how you're choosing, how you're wielding your time. Because an hour spent on something stupid is an hour you're never getting back. And you have to learn how to utilize your time in a way that connects with the meaning of what you want to achieve. Just allowing yourself to be overwhelmed. Whenever I talk to someone, and everyone right now is starting conversations with, things are so tough. Yeah, I'm so overwhelmed. Yeah, my calendar, whatever. I don't care. What you're saying is, oh yeah, I really suck at managing my time. Yeah, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just allowing people to cram things onto my day, mindlessly following the notifications I'm getting from my calendar app without taking control of my time, because I'm playing that game, that Silicon Valley, we're hustling game, or whatever you want to call it. But sorry, just grinding for the sake of grinding is not what will get you to the next stage. Grinding by itself has no magical properties. You can be grinding away in the wrong direction for decades and achieve zilch. What you have to do, again, is stop following what you see others are doing and decide what you want to do, how you want to lead, what would make sense in your specific situation. I always tell people you're not a special snowflake. However, here you have a special snowflake situation that you have to realize. What you're doing, what's right for you, is solely right for you. Just copying and pasting what other people and startups around you are doing will not necessarily or likely not work. Start by taking control of your time, of your direction, and decide what you want to do. Realize where you're playing other people's game. Where do you need to be jerked out of it? Because life is too short to do that. And whatever time you're wasting right now doing that, even if it seems like short term, it's working out, it's likely time not properly invested and time you will regret not having changed things earlier. All of this to say that I want you to come up with some cool games of your own. All right? If you need help with that, hey, I'm here. You've got my email in the show notes. Let's have a free diagnostic call. And just write to me diagnostic in the subject line of the mail and I'll explain to you how we can schedule one for free. And please check out the free live stream that's happening tomorrow. That's it for this week. As always, if you have any questions or comments, my email's in the show notes. Check out my newsletter, the best newsletter online for tech execs. Again, link in the show notes. And I'll be here next week. Ciao.